So we're going to rank the Green Bay Packers' 3 most valuable defensive players. We're also going to throw in an honorable mention, so a guy who is close to being in the top 3. They deserve some recognition, but they didn't quite make the cut. So who, Nick, is your honorable mention?
My honorable mention, he doesn't make the top 3 for me, but that is Rashaan Gary.
Okay.
He showed a lot of improvement in his sophomore year.
Yep.
He does not care what people say about sophomore slump. He was there. He improved, and I'm very excited for his future. He's not one of the best 3 defenders on the Packers, but he's my number 4.
He could be. He
could be this year.
On
but
track. Yeah.
Right now, I have 3 people a little higher than him. He's close.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I know there's the one graphic where he had this second highest pressure rate after Aaron Donald from week 10 on in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is ridiculous. And I know seeing him in the second half of the year, I feel like he got more snaps. And the defense was just better, like the last 5 to 6 weeks in the regular season.
When you're being talked about with Aaron Donald, you
know you're doing something right.
You know you're doing something right.
Exactly. And, yeah, he's going to only keep developing. I mean, he was a pretty raw prospect when we drafted him, but he has, he has the height, he has the speed, he has the raw athletic ability, and his technical abilities are only getting better. So, yeah, he's a solid honorable mention. I'm going to go with one of our safeties who doesn't get that much talk around the league, former Bear Adrian Amos.
Okay.
So he's just been rock solid for us ever since we got him. Mm-hmm. Sure tackler, pretty decent in coverage. He hits hard too, which is I love seeing that. Yeah, you never really see him completely mess up or blow off an assignment. And it's such an upgrade from what we've had over the past few years at safety to have just a sure tackler, someone who does their job and you don't have to worry about them. And I really like Adrian Amos.
What I like about Amos, I like that you brought him up because as I always like how the older players treat the younger players, and Amos and Savage, they have a great bond.
Yeah.
Amos has taught Savage a lot, and they just have so much fun out there on the field together. Whenever one of them makes a play, they're the first ones to congratulate each other. And it's just fun to watch how those 2 safeties work together.
They have some good celebrations, too.
They do.
I know the moment we signed, the first week Amos played for us, he had the game-sealing pick against the Bears. And, he was celebrating running around the field. He's an awesome guy, good character, good leadership. I'm happy we have him. And now we can get into our top 3. So who is your third most who do you think is the Green Bay Packers' third most valuable defensive player?
All right. So at number 3 for the Green Bay Packers defense, I have Darius Smith because the last 2 seasons since we got him in free agency has been so good at getting to the quarterback and just even he gets so many sacks, but even when he doesn't sack the quarterback, he rushes the quarterback. He takes away time from the quarterback and
pressures, right?
And he makes the quarterback throw the ball bad, and that's what leads to turnovers. That's what leads to 3 and outs. And Darius Smith, ever since he got to the Packers, has really changed the Packers defense. And once again, he's a great leader too.
Yeah, so I didn't quite have him at 3. I had him a little higher.
Okay.
But yeah, like you said, really good pass rusher. Again, huge upgrade when we got him. It was kind of an unknown how he'd be from the Ravens, as their outside linebackers have gone on to not be as good at other places. Think of Pernell McPhee. But he improved from the Ravens. He's gotten even better. He had double-digit sacks. He finally made the Pro Bowl after getting snubbed his first year with us, which is huge. And my number 3 is going to be Kenny Clark.
Okay.
So he's obviously the nose tackle, a beast in the run game. He was kind of a surprise pick when we originally took him in the first round. A lot of people were like, who is this guy? But he has been rock solid for us. And our defense, it's a noticeable difference between when he's injured and out or he's not playing up to his normal standard to when he's in form. Because our D-line just goes from okay to they're a really good unit. And I really like Kenny Clark. I think the only issue for me is he's not as good of a pass rusher as Darius, and that's why I have him at 2. But what are your thoughts? I'm sure you have him number 2, right?
Yes, so that brings me to my number 2. Kenny Clark is who I believe is the second most valuable player on the Packers defense. And that's just because he's the only one there to stop the run, which really helps his value.
run stuff. Yeah.
That's why we gave him so much money. And at the beginning of this year, he was not doing well. He was doing well, but he was not earning the money that we gave him. And the coaching staff took him aside. They're like, all right, we gave you the money. You got it. Now play like you were playing before you got the money. And he started working hard again. He was working hard the whole time, but he started earning that money.
In the beginning of the year, he had some sort of injury. I think that could have been hindrance, among other things. But yeah.
But he's my number 2 on the Packers defense just because he needs to be there to stop the run or they're just going to run the ball every play. And that's why I hope we can bring someone in like Jarrell Casey or J.J. Watt to help him stop the run.
Yeah, he's kind of the most dominant, I would say, against the run. Rashaan Gary's good too, and he's an edge, and we mentioned him. But like pure run stuffers, Kenny Clark is really, really good for us. And without him, our run defense would go from okay to just plain bad. And so my number 2 is going to be your number 3, and that's Darius Smith.
Yeah.
So I think we all remember the years of suffering when we had Clay Matthews and Nick Perry, who were perpetually injured, and then Kyler Sackrell was coming in a lot too. And then we got Zadarius and we got Preston, and the Smith Bros were formed, and it just took off from there. So I think he had over 13 sacks his first year with us. Last year, he also had over 10, but he has been huge in the biggest moments, national TV against the best teams. He's made plays.
Yep.
And it's not always sacks, right? You mentioned it earlier. He has one of the best pressure rates against double teams, which is huge because, the best guys are obviously getting double teamed, but if you're really, really the best of the best, you're overcoming that, and he does.
He does.
And if he was getting him getting double teamed frees up other guys to get single teamed, like Rashaan Gary, like Kenny Clark, like our other pass rushers. And without that, if everyone was getting single teamed or he wasn't getting double teamed and someone else was getting double teamed, I really don't think our pass rush would be all that great. But that's my number 2. Nick, who do you have at number 1? I think I know who it is.
Yes. So my number 1 most valuable player on the Packers defense is Jaire Alexander. And there's so many reasons. But to start, he's a Pro Bowler. He's an All-Pro. And he's the only corner that we can truly trust to lock down every single week. Every week he brings his A game, and there's very little inconsistency with him. And he's locked down the best receivers on a lot of really good teams. And that's why he's my number 1. In the playoffs, there was a game where he allowed 1 reception for -3 yards. And some people think like it was And some people think like, he doesn't get targeted because you can just target the other D-backs. No, he doesn't get targeted because he's locked down. He has his own island, as he likes to say. He has his own island. Obviously, it doesn't matter. So our other D-backs, they're not great, but the quarterback is still looking to target his number 1 wide receiver, and he's not getting to do that because Jaire is locking him up. Hopefully, we can get some help for Jaire during this offseason. But for me, Jaire is the number 1 most valuable player on the Packers defense.
Okay, so I also had Jaire number 1. I think it's pretty hard not to. And so there was this graphic basically about his stats, and I forget, it was like when he was getting guarded. I have to pull it up, but basically one of the guys was Calvin Ridley, and up until this point he'd been having
100 yards a game.
Yeah. In the Falcons-Packers game, it wasn't only Jaire on him, but Jaire didn't allow him to get a single catch. He ended that game with 0 yards, 0 catches. And when you look at his stat line up and down,
he did have 1 drop pass that he should have caught, but that don't matter. That's 1 pass.
Yeah. So for the most part, he was neutralized by Jaire. And oh man, I don't know. I think that's crazy. Just a guy not having any catches. And I think
not just any guy, though. A guy who was averaging 100 yards a game up to that point. 100 yards.
Yeah, and he has had his inconsistencies. I remember against the Cowboys last year, Amari Cooper kind of torched him.
He did.
But he has grown a lot from that moment. And yeah, I know there's a YouTube clip montage of him just against the screen pass. And it's like 5 to 6 minutes. That's ridiculous against one type of play, not just his overall plays, but against the screen pass. And yeah, he's a solid tackler. He's not afraid to hit. He's really good. I'm so happy we have him.
Hopefully
we
need him.
Yes, we do need him. And so he's going to be Nick and I's most valuable defensive player for the Green Bay Packers.